I, a 20-year-old female, have a weird dynamic with my dad, a 43-year-old male. He and my mom were never married, but have always had a great friendship and co-parenting relationship. They were both in the military, met there, had me abroad, but both ended up back in the United States. My mom had primary custody, and I would mainly have visitation during the summer with him because we lived in separate states. When I was 12, he finally married someone and had my little sister. I moved in with them when I was 17 in order to finish high school, go to college, and help be around my little sister. When I was in college, he said he had filed for divorce, so right now he's currently in the middle of a divorce from my sister's mom, who I considered for a lot of my life a bonus mom. I don't know what to think about my ex, bonus mom, or my dad. To be honest, my ex involved me in a lot of the drama, thinking it would help me, but it didn't. And I've heard my dad's thoughts on the situation, but I know how he is. To explain, he's always been financially responsible and provided what I needed. He provided child support, was very on board with me moving in, paid for my first car, and helped build a healthy savings account from which I could buy my second car when I moved in and had some money left over. His dad left me an investment inheritance. All this to show he knows how to handle his money. He has tried to get me into his kind of activities like self-defense shooting, which I'm pretty good at, and hunting, which I don't have the patience for, to be honest, but he's never really tried to take an interest in my hobbies that I've developed. He's supported those interests, reluctantly in my opinion, but has never taken the time to do them with me. He's never been outwardly affectionate. I've seen this man cry 3 times. He's asked me to hug him maybe twice when I lived with him for 3 years. He loves my cat, though. That's clear. When I had my second car, it ended up having some really bad problems, which he took the time and money to fix himself. It took months. He's taken me on many vacations, albeit in the state he lives in, and paid for my prom dress. He had a job where he wouldn't be home for some months out of the year, and he would make sure I was taking care of the house and left money and things to defend myself with. But his reactions to situations and his sense of humor are what say everything. He's very defensive, never takes accountability for anything he's done, gaslit me into thinking he and my ex got married because they wanted to. She was pregnant, takes his anger out on partners and people around him, called me thunder thighs when I was 10 or 11, gets mad at my sister for not understanding her homework, and never took the time to understand my mental well-being or health, said I didn't need therapy, just to work out and eat better. There are many more situations, but I hope you can understand the gist from the above. He hasn't done anything outright wrong, but I just notice I'm always calling him. My sister doesn't exactly have the best attitude, although neither of her parents have exemplary behavior, and kids these days are just weird. I don't know. I really don't know how to handle this relationship going forward in my life. I moved out a few months ago and a few states away with my partner, who I love. I know every day our relationship is stronger, but knowing that, I really don't want him too involved because I know he makes me feel bad a lot. I've known I wanted my mom to walk me down the aisle for years now. I know that I would possibly hurt him. I know I would damage some relationships due to it. But I'm thinking about when I possibly have kids. I don't want them to be hurt by him or think his actions are okay. I care about him, and I know I'm giving myself an answer by typing this out, but I need some really sound advice from a non-biased audience. So please, advice on how to deal with narcissistic tendencies and a dad who is very selfish. To add more context, not everything he's done has been to me, but I've seen the way he treated my ex-stepmom and his ex-girlfriend. He never took emotions seriously. For example, if I or my ex-stepmom would have a rough day, be kind of emotional or whatever, he would always make fun of us and our appearance in some way. Then he would start picking on the fact that either of us were being emotional. He always exploited that vulnerability. When my ex-stepmom was pregnant with my sister, her hormones made her anxiety and depression worse on some days. He did nothing to try to help her. Instead, he would just complain about the fact that he had to get to work. When we had gone to Disney this last time, I witnessed him blaming his girlfriend at the time for things going wrong. To add context, he, his girlfriend, and their 2 kids, a 10-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl, had one room together, about a 2-minute walk on the same floor as my room that I was sharing with his girlfriend's mom. He had left his phone in the hotel room the first day because we were rushing. He sat there and went through most of the day not talking to her and having an attitude, blaming her for making sure he didn't have his phone when he was the one rushing everyone. I honestly tried to avoid him as much as I could on the trip because he was lashing out on everyone. He's never really told me how proud of me he was or is. I understand I've never made the best choices, but I've done the best I can. I tried hard my senior year to do well in school, to finish college, and everything I could handle. I didn't have a job for a few months in order to focus on school and myself. He's never tried to be there for my extracurricular activities I did when I lived with my mom. I was in choir and honors choir. I lived in 2 different states with my mom. When I was in 6th grade, he did come to an honors choir that I got into for the state, but it also conveniently landed on my birthday. I moved to a different state farther away, but I lived there for 5 years. In those 5 years, he visited this state once during the summer of 2020. My mom, when I moved in with my dad, was there for 2 out of 3 of my birthdays. The third was due to weather and financial issues, and she came to 2 out of my 4 choir concerts my senior year, which we talked and decided on. She was there more times than that, but it shows how much more she tried to come see me. She is married and has been for 8 years, so it wasn't motivated by seeing him. My mom and my ex-stepmom had a really great friendship too, so the lack of coming around was never due to my ex-stepmom. She also loved me as her own. She had been in my life for 10 years. It's hard to not consider someone a parent, especially when they've been a fantastic role model and friend to you. I don't necessarily want to end or blow up the relationship with my dad, but I genuinely just like to think about myself and my future regarding it. I understand I'm young, and I understand I may be selfish considering myself more than him. I have not really considered him much of a father to myself, though. He's stepped up with my sister, which I'm very happy about. I just have never felt a connection with him, necessarily. I am not trying to say he's a bad human being, but his actions genuinely concern me. I know he's been like this for a long time. There's really no changing that, but I really want help navigating a relationship with him. I know I make the effort in this relationship, though being states away and moved out, but even living with my mom, she was kind of the one keeping the relationship going by reminding me to call him or talk to him. I just really need some advice, please. Too long. Didn't read. My dad's actions and who he is, I know can't be changed, but he has questionable behavior that I don't want to influence my future or the people in my future. I need help navigating this relationship. Please help. Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post didn't have any comments. Now, for the update. A couple of days after my last post, I got a text from my dad asking if we could meet for dinner. Honestly, I was kind of surprised he reached out like that. I said yes, thinking maybe this was a chance to sort things out. I mean, how many chances would I get, right? We decided to meet at this local Italian restaurant that was our family go-to back in the day. I had some good memories there, even if they felt like forever ago. So the day came, and I got there on time. My dad was already sitting at this corner table, which felt kind of isolating. Like, why do they put you in the corner when you're there with someone? I walked in, and he was on his phone, scrolling away, not even looking up. I could have walked by, and I don't think he would have noticed. It was like I was invisible for a second there. He barely acknowledged me when I sat down, and I thought, great, this is going to be fun. We made some small talk for a few minutes, and I thought, okay, maybe things will get better. I brought up my little sister, asking how she was doing, but he brushed me off. Said he's been busy and doesn't have time for family updates. I mean, come on, dude. She's like, what? 3? Get your act together. So I decided to confront him about his behavior. I referenced some comments he made during our last family trip, you know, the ones that made me want to throw my drink in his face. He got defensive, saying I misinterpreted his intentions. Oh, really? Because I thought I was pretty spot on. And then he hit me with the sarcasm, said I was too sensitive and needed to toughen up. I was so done at that point. I stood up to leave, but he grabbed my arm, saying we needed to talk. I pulled away, and then I noticed this couple nearby giving us concerned looks. Like, yeah, feel free to call the cops on him, please. And then, oh my God, he shouted that I was being dramatic. Like, really? Now you want to play the victim? People were definitely looking at us. So embarrassing. That night, I told my partner about the dinner disaster. He was all supportive and said I did the right thing by leaving. A few days later, I ran into this old high school friend at a coffee shop. We caught up a bit, and she mentioned how she's been working with a nonprofit focused on family support. That got me thinking, maybe I need to get my dad in front of some professionals. So, I decided to plan this informal family gathering to see how my dad interacted with my sister. Maybe it would be an eye-opener for him, or maybe it would just confirm that he's a lost cause. The next weekend, I invited my dad, little sister, and brother to my place for a casual barbecue. I thought, how bad could it be? My dad showed up late, of course, and the atmosphere was strained right from the start. You could feel the awkwardness. During the barbecue, my dad made this comment about how parenting is too much work. My brother jumped in, supporting me, and reminded our dad of the good times we had growing up. My dad got all irritated, insisting he was just being realistic. Then my little sister, feeling uncomfortable, left the table to play inside. I mean, who could blame her? I turned to my dad after dinner and told him that his negativity affects everyone. He just scoffed and claimed I was overreacting. Typical. The next day, I started documenting our conversations in this journal, noting all the hurtful comments. I figured it was a good way to keep track of things. A week later, I found out about this local family therapy program that offers workshops. I decided to sign up for a session because why not? At the workshop, I learned about healthy boundaries and how to communicate effectively. I thought I could use all the help I could get. A couple of weeks later, I invited my dad to the workshop's open house event, hoping he'd see the value in it. He reluctantly agreed to come, but I knew he was rolling his eyes on the inside. At the event, he was just so dismissive. He rolled his eyes at some of the activities and refused to engage with the other attendees. It was like pulling teeth just to get him to participate. We left the event, and I told him I wouldn't be putting up with his negativity anymore. He responded with anger, but I stood firm. I said I'd protect my little sister from his harmful comments. He stormed off, and I felt a mix of relief and frustration. The next day, I got this text from him apologizing for his behavior. He said he needs to work on himself because he wants to do better for my sister. That was kind of a shocker, honestly. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about that. I'm planning a fun day out with my little sister. She deserves it, and I need to make some good memories with her. Edit. After that dinner, my dad did not reach out for a while. The family barbecue was his first chance to see my little sister since the divorce. I didn't think he was actively neglecting her, but his attitude definitely made it hard to feel like a good dad. The therapy workshop was a big help for me, and I think my dad realized he needed to change after attending. The updates on my sister will be shared soon, and I appreciate all the support. Am I the idiot for expecting my boyfriend to show affection without a script? I am a university student dating my boyfriend for the last 7 months, but we were speaking for a few months before that. I have been in relationships before, but for him, he was always the quiet kid in school who was awkward around girls. He said he never really knew what to say or do around them. So for him, I am actually the first girl he has liked and dated. Our personalities are quite opposite and complementary. He is calm, cool-headed, and more logical than I am. He doesn't really get angry or emotional about things, and he also comes from a very healthy family dynamic. I, on the other hand, am definitely more extroverted, loud, and fiery compared to him. I tend to be more expressive with my emotions and more unconditional with affection. I've grown up in a very verbally affectionate and physically affectionate family. I've had relationships before, 3 to be exact. One was puppy love, one cheated, and the other was pure love, but the circumstances made it fall apart. Either way, I've had my fair share of experiences with dating and crushes, and it shows. I know what to do when he's down, how to show him affection, and for the most part, I am physically and verbally affectionate. I shower him with compliments, take him out on expensive dinners. I am a medical student with a part-time job and try to make him feel loved. On the other hand, his forms of love have always been, to put it nicely, prompted. Initially, at the beginning of our relationship, he admitted to struggling with romance. It made sense since he never really had any experience, so I taught him, told him what I wanted, and he did make an effort. He tries to compliment me sometimes, and he is physically affectionate. We say I love you to each other, though he doesn't always say it back when I say it. Very rarely would he say it to me spontaneously, without me prompting him to. He's gotten me flowers when I've asked. Even when I brought up the fact that I don't feel loved or would like more verbal or physical affection, he was so understanding about my feelings and didn't get annoyed at all. He is very, very mature and never makes me feel invalidated for bringing up any issues I have. However, it's been 7 months. He got a new job somewhere else, so we only see each other on weekends, and not every weekend. I've done insanely long-distance relationships before, so I know what to do, how to navigate them, and still feel connected. I understand this is new for him. Recently, I met him after not seeing him for 2 weeks. He drove to me to stay for the weekend. I'm always jumping with joy to see him, and am always initiating kisses and hugs, to which he does respond. But the initiation was always done by me. So I wanted to see if he would hug me first without me prompting him, albeit this was a bit toxic of me. He didn't even blink, didn't even kiss me or hug me or anything. He reached at night and wanted to go to bed, which I knew anyways, but not a single hug. Not even, and I missed you. He's never said it, even though I say it or text it to him when we're away. For the first time, I cried in bed while he slept next to me that night. I was considering breaking up with him the next day if he didn't at least show some sort of affection by the afternoon. The next morning, he did end up kissing me in the afternoon, and that's when I sat him down. We had a discussion about last night's events, and he said, "I was a bit surprised you didn't hug me, but yeah, I didn't know what to do." And then he shrugged, not in an I don't care way, but in a genuine I don't know way. I explained to him I don't feel loved, and I don't want to force him to love me, so if we are not compatible, we should just break up. He admitted he should have hugged me and apologized for making me feel this way. He said he will take what I've said into account because he does want to make this work. When I asked him if he's sure he actually even loves me, he admits he isn't entirely sure because he's never been in love and doesn't understand what it should feel like. He said he definitely isn't as attached as I am to him, or as in love as I am, but he does like me. I told him he shouldn't say that he loves me if he doesn't, because it's genuinely okay. I don't want him to force it. He said he'll think on it. Later that day, he said he does love me because he gets this warm, fuzzy feeling with me. Sometimes he is really bluntly honest as well. He has admitted to me that he isn't always attracted to me, which is totally understandable, but it isn't something you really say to your girlfriend. In another instance, I explained to him that when I like someone, other guys just sort of blur out for me. He admitted he finds other women attractive, but he wouldn't ever do anything like cheat or hurt me. I understand that men probably do look at other women who aren't their significant other and find other people attractive. I get it. It can be human nature. But you don't really say that to your girlfriend. Also, I've met his parents, and they are absolutely amazing. The thing is, we're different. We are different in the way we express our emotions. But we balance each other out a lot, and we take care of each other, and we understand each other. He is a good man, and I've been with problematic men. But I can't help but think that maybe he simply just doesn't like or love me. And it happens sometimes. You can have someone love you a lot, but not love them back at all. Maybe he's confused. Maybe he thinks he doesn't have any other option. Maybe he thinks he loves me because he should. For me, love comes so naturally. No one had to teach me. I knew when I liked someone. A part of me believes that when you love someone, it comes naturally. You care for them. You tell them they're beautiful. You don't have to be asked to bring flowers or asked to love them. Not that money matters, but he hasn't paid for anything. not a single drink or dinner. He does tend to be much more stingy with money, which I completely understand. But I, a medical student, took up a summer job and spent my earnings on taking him to a nice expensive dinner because he said he was craving sushi. It was about the effort, not the money. I don't know, for me, loving someone comes naturally. It doesn't take so much effort, but at the same time, I don't want to leave him. He is good to me. He is kind and supportive. He gets along with my friends. He is calm. He compliments my fire, and he never invalidates my feelings or pushes any affection away. He never gets jealous or protective. He encourages me to do my best. He has made an effort to be romantic. I am considering if breaking up is a good option here, or if it is a matter of me overthinking the whole situation and making it out to be something it isn't. Are we just not compatible, or have I gone out of my way to pick a problem and overthink this situation? Does it just need more time? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Okay, first off, I don't think you were toxic at all, waiting to see what he would do. How else would you know? Anyway, what I don't understand is that it sounds like you have been very patient and have done a great job telling him what you need in a kind manner. I can't figure out why he wouldn't respond. Like on the way to see you, you would think that he would have been thinking about his arrival. I'm wondering, is he on the spectrum maybe? Because something is definitely wrong. Comment 2. I've considered the fact that he may possibly be on the spectrum. He had little care for social norms and etiquette sometimes. At the same time, he works at a mental health ward and is a psychologist in training. He handles his patients very calmly, and when I've cried in front of him, he was very comforting about it. He does respond to my emotional cues, but I do suspect his reactivity to emotional triggers is quite low and definitely much lower than mine. Now, for the update. 1 week after that whole heart-to-heart thing, I decided to invite my boyfriend over for dinner at my place. Gotta admit, I was kinda hoping to make things better between us, you know? So, I spent the whole day cooking his favorite meal, and honestly, I just wanted to create a warm, cozy atmosphere. When he arrived, I couldn't help but notice that he seemed a bit distant right away. There was this vibe, like he wasn't really fully there. So we sat down to eat, and here's the thing. He barely touched his food. Instead, he was glued to his phone like it was the most fascinating thing ever. I tried to bring up some plans for the weekend, suggesting we hit up this local art festival together. But all I got was this non-committal shrug from him, and he said he might have other plans. That instantly reminded me of him talking about some friend from work who might be around. So I asked him about this friend, and he just casually mentioned that they might hang out. I felt this little twinge of irritation, but I bit my tongue and kept the convo going. Didn't want to ruin dinner, right? After dinner, we moved to the living room, and I put on a movie to try and make things a bit better. But during the movie, I tried to cuddle up to him, like old times, but he just kept his distance, leaning back on the couch like he was trying to escape or something. I couldn't take it anymore, so I paused the movie and pointed out that he seemed off. He admitted he's been feeling overwhelmed with everything, especially work. I offered my support, encouraging him to talk about it, but he just brushed it off like it was no big deal. A few days later, I was sitting in the kitchen, making coffee, and I overheard him on a call with his friend. He was mentioning feeling unsure about his relationship, and even implying that he's considering taking a step back. Yep, you heard that right. I was heartbroken, but I didn't want to make a big fuss about it. So I invited him to my family's holiday dinner, hoping it would help him bond more with my fam. At the dinner, my parents were all over him, gushing about how wonderful they think he is. It was sweet, but then my dad, in his usual dad way, jokingly asked when they were going to get engaged. I noticed my boyfriend's discomfort, though. He laughed it off, but quickly changed the subject to sports, which was his way of avoiding the topic. After dinner, my brother pulled me aside and asked how things were going with my boyfriend. He suggested that I should have a serious talk with him about our future. Honestly, my brother was right, but I was scared to bring it up. That night, we returned home, and I decided it was time to have the talk. I asked him directly about his feelings, wanting clarity on where we stand. He hesitated, and it felt like forever before he finally said he doesn't know if he sees a future together. That hit hard, but he agreed that we needed to take a week apart to reflect on our relationship. I said okay because I didn't want to push him away. During that week, I focused on myself, spending time with friends and family, trying to keep my mind off things. I even attended a close friend's birthday party, and there was this guy who seemed interested in me. We talked, but I kept it friendly because I wasn't looking to jump into anything new. I wanted to be loyal to my boyfriend, even if things were rocky. I also texted my boyfriend, suggesting we meet to talk about our relationship. We decided on a coffee shop, a neutral place to chat. When we met at the coffee shop, I felt nervous, but knew I had to be clear about what I wanted. I stated that I need more affection and commitment in this relationship. He admitted he hasn't been fully present, and honestly, I felt that. But he said he wants to work on things. We agreed to try again, but set some clear expectations moving forward. It felt like a step in the right direction. The following weeks showed some gradual improvement in our communication and affection, which made me hopeful. We even planned a weekend getaway together, which was a big deal for us. It felt like a new start for our relationship, and I was excited about it. So here we are, packing for the getaway and ready to explore new possibilities together. To answer a few questions, my boyfriend and I decided to take a week apart to gain clarity. During that time, I focused on spending time with friends and family. When we met to discuss our relationship, I expressed my need for more affection and commitment. He acknowledged his shortcomings and agreed to work on them. We set clear expectations moving forward, which has led to gradual improvement in our communication and affection. We're now planning a weekend getaway together as a fresh start. I hope this new chapter will bring us closer and help us grow as a couple. Am I the idiot for cutting off my boyfriend after he chose his high school crush over me? My boyfriend, who is 18 years old, and I, also 18, have been dating for a year and a half now. I just went off to college a little more than a month ago, and he is still in his senior year of high school. Our relationship hasn't been perfect, but long distance has made my boyfriend question and reveal things to me he has never said until now. I am his first relationship and his first everything. He told me that he fears he will never be single again, and that he won't be able to have the college experience of hookups and kissing strangers, but he said that he doesn't need that right now, and that he loves me in our relationship. That is a very odd thing to say. On top of that, he has revealed that he has had lingering feelings for this girl he liked before me. We have had conversations about her before, but he has already denied it until now. Their families are very close, and they share memories and carpool together often now that I am away. I know for a fact this girl has no feelings for my boyfriend, and after he said the former, he denied that he still likes her now. Additionally, he is not fond of calling and doesn't make time for it, and I can pray all day every day for a response back from a text I sent. He doesn't put in effort, but I can't let him go. I love him, and even in realization of him treating me this way, I still beg him to call me, and I spam his phone with texts and Instagram reels he doesn't bother to respond to. But when he does respond, I get so happy. When we were on the call, we both admitted to this being a toxic relationship. However, neither of us had the heart to break it off. He is the type of person to try to find a rebound and will probably be semi-successful, and I am too fragile to handle that. So I'm keeping him on the hook. I don't know if that's manipulative or not, to not let him leave, but I am too jealous that I would probably spiral into a depression when he starts to do anything romantic with someone else. I am not good at finding people I enjoy, and my boyfriend is one of those people. I don't find love easily, and I am scared he will rebound, and I won't be able to find anyone and get depressed and obsessive over his new life. I am coming home in the next week, and when we are together in person, it is perfect. We love to hang out with each other, and if I never bring it up, the whole weekend will be filled with fun plans and lots of laughs. But in the long term, this relationship won't work. I don't know what to do, and I need some advice badly. Now for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post did not have any comments. Now, for the update. I'm back with an update, and I can't say it's the best one. It's been a wild ride since my last post. So yeah, I went home after a couple of days from my last post because I had to visit my parents or whatever. I thought it would be a nice break from all the drama with my boyfriend Mark. But nope, it was just as awkward, if not more so. When we got there, things were just off. I don't know how to explain it. Mark was super quiet, eerily quiet. My parents noticed it too, which made it even worse. We had a family dinner at my parents' house, and during the dinner, my dad asked Mark how he was handling the transition to college. This dude just shrugged his shoulders and totally avoided eye contact. I mean, come on, at least pretend to be interested. My mom, bless her heart, tried to change the subject to my sister's recent engagement, which was actually a happy topic. After dinner, Mark and I stepped outside for some air. I wanted to talk about our communication issues because we hadn't really been talking much. I brought it up, and he admitted he was feeling overwhelmed. He said he had been spending more time with his high school friends, and I felt a weird pit in my stomach, but I didn't say anything. So, over the next few days, Mark was just distant. He was glued to his phone all the time, and I felt like I was talking to a wall. Can you even hear me? On the day I was supposed to go back to college, Mark suggested we go to a local carnival. I thought it would be nice, so we went. But guess who we ran into? Emily, the girl Mark had feelings for. She was with a group of friends, and when Mark saw her, his whole demeanor changed. He was more animated and engaged. It was really hard to watch. Later that night, Mark got a text and quickly excused himself. He left me standing there feeling like a total loser. When he came back, he said it was just a friend asking about the carnival. But, I wasn't born yesterday. The next day, I saw a post on social media of Mark and Emily together at the carnival. They looked like they were having a blast, and Mark had his arm around her. I lost it. I confronted Mark about the photo, and he said it was just a friendly moment. Yeah, right. A week later, there was a family barbecue at my parents' house. Mark showed up late and seemed really off. He was texting throughout the event and barely interacted with my family. I tried to introduce him to my cousin, but he barely acknowledged her. After the barbecue, I asked him about his behavior, and he brushed it off, saying he was just stressed. Sure, Mark. Stressed. Later that week, he canceled our planned weekend trip because of a last-minute exam. I mean, come on. A few days after that, I found out from a mutual friend that Mark had been spending a lot of time with Emily at school events. I was heartbroken, and when I reached out to that friend, they confirmed that Mark and Emily had been hanging out a lot. This friend even said that during their conversations, Mark admitted he enjoyed spending time with Emily but felt conflicted. He even suggested taking a break with me while he figured things out with Emily. I was just done. I needed a break from all this. So I focused on my studies and spent time with my friends. A few weeks went by, and I hadn't heard from Mark. I was just living my life, you know? At a college party one night, I ran into this guy who had feelings for me. He asked me out a couple of times, but I never really went for it. I just wasn't into anything serious. Anyway, this guy was really sweet, but I didn't want to go there, especially with everything going on with Mark. One day, out of the blue, I got a text from Mark asking to meet up and talk. I was so nervous, but agreed to meet him at a local diner. So we met, and Mark confessed he had started dating Emily. He said he wanted to remain friends, but I just couldn't deal with that. After everything, I didn't want to be friends. I was just so hurt. I told him it was best if we went no contact for a while, at least until I figured my own stuff out. So, that's it. I'm trying to focus on myself, but it's been tough. I've been thinking about talking to that guy I ran into at the party. He's really sweet, and I don't want to push him away. I just don't know what to do. I'm still really hurt and don't want to get into anything serious right now. I just want to take it slow. Edit. I didn't end up dating the guy from the party. We just stayed friends, and I'm focusing on myself for now. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.